All right. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mike Regan. I'm the Midwest Account Manager for the NEC SL product, and I'd like to welcome you to this presentation of the SL2100 version 1.5 software update. Again, I'd like to thank you for taking the time for this, and if we have any questions, please feel free to ask away as we go through the presentation. We're going to talk about version 1.5 update and the features along with that. You're also going to get a couple of Lucky Strike extras in the presentation, just to you a little background as to why you would use NEC. And then at the end, we're going to talk about a promotional opportunity you have with NEC. So with that, we'll go ahead and get going. And before we get into version 1.5, I would like to explain a little bit about why we're able to be as innovative and creative as we are with our telephone systems. Fiscal year 2017 was a very good year for us, and I understand we're still in fiscal year 2018 as far as NEC concerns. Our fiscal year ends in March. So fiscal year 2017 was a good year. First off, we were named one of the 50 most innovative companies in the world by Boston Consulting. If I advance the screen here a little bit, it blows up the 50 most innovative companies, and you see the top three are Apple, Google, and Tesla, as one would imagine. Although if Elon Musk keeps misbehaving, he may have a risk to that number 3 most innovative company. But if I click ahead, you see NEC came in at number 41. So we're real proud about being in the top 50 most innovative companies. We're looking to take that a little bit further in fiscal year 2018. So stay tuned for that. And Frost & Sullivan, which is another consulting firm, recognized us for our NeoFace software, which is our facial recognition software, which is, again, one of the reasons why Boston Consulting recognizes us as one of the most innovative companies. It's because of our NeoFace software and our facial recognition software. A lot of that stuff you won't see migrating down to the phone systems just yet, because we got to bring the cost down on it. But if you go through airport, especially in international terminals, when you come back into the country, they're using our facial recognition software to clear your passport. So, and we were Internet Telephony Product of the Year in 2017. Worldwide, for the last 3 years running, we've been number 1 market share globally in terms of the SMB telephony market. And again, that's something we're looking forward to for 2018 as well. Make it 4 in a row. This one, there's a lot of talk amongst the industry about how digital telephony and telephone systems in general are dying. In fiscal year 2017, you see we've sold almost 20,000 phone systems, which was up from the previous year, and we're anticipating when we close the book on fiscal year 2018, these totals will be even higher. So the reports of customer premise equipment, or the demise of customer premise equipment, has been greatly exaggerated. In fact, in 2017, or fiscal year 2017, we were selling upwards of 78 systems a day. We'd really like to get that up to 100 systems a day. So, there's still a lot of movement as far as customer premise equipment, and a lot of that is because we're capitalizing on the market turmoil. We all know what happened to Toshiba back in 2017. They left the market. Avaya filed for Chapter 11. They have since pulled out of Chapter 11, but since they pulled out of Chapter 11, they came with a new business plan, which appears not to include a lot of phone systems. Mitel bought both ShoreTel and Toshiba's North American assets, which, what does that mean for the platform? They now have 3 of everything. Well, to take it one step further, at the end of 2018, they finalized the deal, Mitel finalized the deal to sell to a venture capitalist. So that, usually when you sell to a venture capitalist, some interesting things happen. So Mitel is no longer a privately held company. They sold to a VC. And also in early 2018, about a year ago, Samsung announced they were leaving the TDM business and just going purely IP. But NEC, we're still going strong. Our systems are hybrid solutions. They could be both TDM, they could be either TDM, or they could be voice over IP, or they could be a combination of both. We have the stability with our finances and our quality, and our company. We have financial strength. We have a diverse portfolio. And we continue with our promotions to target the turmoil and working with our business development team on terms of marketing initiatives. And one of these marketing initiatives you'll see at the end of the presentation today. All right. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do this and advance. So with that, let's talk about version 1.5 and the features that got added to the SL2100 version 1.5, which is currently in general release. All right. The new features of the 2100 version 1.5 include the ST500 smartphone app, Phone Pro, which is our new end-user GUI interface, Lua PMS integration. So we are now starting to integrate with third-party property management software packages. Our InGuard toll fraud package, as well as our InUC browser phone enhancement. Okay, we began beta phase on this back in April of 2018. It is currently in general release. It was released, I believe, October 5th of 2018. So it spent quite a bit of time in beta. Reason being, it not so much that we were having trouble with the software, which we did run into a couple of hiccups, but the main issue and the main holdup was this Lua PMS integration. Not that the software didn't work, but we were having trouble finding people to do a beta site on Lua PMS because it's such a specific application. It has to be a hotel motel application. So that was kind of the hang-up, but we finally did it. It finally got out for general release in the first week of October of the year that just ended. So let's take a look now at each one of these features kind of on an individual basis. And the first is our ST500 smartphone app. If you were familiar with our previous smartphone app and maybe had some deployed, that being U-Mobility, you understood that about a year ago this time, a lot of those smartphone apps, or everybody's smartphone app, stopped working on Apple products because Apple went through a software upgrade because they got spanked with the battery issue. okay? And so they came out with iOS 10 and then subsequently iOS 11 to counter some of the problems they were having with their batteries. And lo and behold, it rendered all of the previous versions of the smartphone apps pretty much useless on Apple product. It had no problem with Android, but everybody, and it didn't matter who, whether it was U-Mobility or any of the other X-Lite, any of the other software manufacturers who made smartphone apps, all of their apps stopped working on Apple products. So it kind of forced everybody into scramble mode to come up with a new product. NEC did. We developed the ST500, which is a SIP single-line telephone smartphone app. What it does is it puts a SIP soft phone on your smart device or on the customer's smart device. It will work with either Apple or with Android devices, right? The app itself is still a free app. It's available on the Google Play or iTunes Store. It still requires the third-party SIP station license. So, and the third-party SIP station license is $30 your cost per user. Okay? What it does is it puts a single-line SIP soft phone on their smart device. However, we've added a new video call feature. So when an ST500 calls another ST500, it could either be a voice call or it could be a video call. All right, and you have the two buttons down here for voice and video. All right, it is supported on Android 4.3 and higher for voice only, or Android 4.4 and higher for voice or video. Okay, it is also supported on iOS 10 and higher. All right, with the consideration that iOS push notifications will be coming in a future version, I have to double check on this with product management, because when I went through the manual for the ST500, it shows that push notifications are in the current version. So I'll have to double check that to make sure. And what push notifications will do is it'll wake up a sleeping device when a call is transferred to it. All right. This is designed to be a Wi-Fi device, so it can use, if you have it on your smart device, it's designed to be used within the LAN as a Wi-Fi device. However, we do have a feature in the system called NAT traversal to third-party SIP devices, which means you could theoretically use the smartphone app in conjunction with the data plan on the cell phone. However, if the end user does not have an unlimited data plan, they run the risk of really running up their cell phone bill, because this is this app is a data hog. So it's really not recommended to use the cell phone carrier's 3 or 4G network to connect back up to the system unless they have an unlimited data plan. All right? It could be taken off site and you could log on to somebody else's Wi-Fi and make or take calls, but without any penalty. But again, if they're going to use the 3 or 4G network from the cell phone provider, they need to make sure that they have unlimited data. All right? And don't worry, it's virtually impossible to pocket dial on the ST500. It's thus inadvertently running up your data minutes, because as you go and make a call, it's going to say, "Are you sure you want to send this call?" There's checks and balances to prevent from pocket dialing using your cellular provider's 3 or 4 digit networks. Okay? So again, that's a smartphone app. It is still free from the Google Play or the iTunes Store. Does require the third-party SIP-Station license. Oh, and one thing, even though I call it a smartphone app up here, I should change that to read smart device, because this will work on any device that can be Wi-Fi enabled and handle voice. So it'll work on an iPad, it'll work on an iPod Touch, it will work on an Android tablet, so a Samsung Galaxy tablet, it'll work on that as well. So any iOS or Android device that is Wi-Fi enabled and can handle voice, you could put the smartphone app on there, or the ST500 app on there. So it's really kind of a smart device type of application. All right. Next is Phone Pro. Phone Pro is a new end-user GUI interface that will allow the extension user to make some changes to his or her phone. All right, and this is a web-based GUI interface. So here is the address. Here's how you access it. It would be the IP address of the SL2100, which by default is 192.168.0.10, I believe. All right, then /HTML, /apps, /phone pro, /index. It's a lot to type in. So if they're going to use Phone Pro, I would recommend that they put this address in their favorites and, then click on their favorites to access the Phone Pro. And when you access Phone Pro, this is the first page that comes up. All right, it is a GUI interface. They do not need to download any software onto their computer. All right. And this is included in every SL2100 at no cost. It must be running version 1.5 software, and it must be enabled by the system, or by the installer. So you do have to turn it on in your features. All right. And then once they do, once they pull it up, enter that address and pull it up, they get to this is their sign-in page where they enter their user name and their password. Okay, and they go ahead and enter in, and then they have the opportunity to change some of these or to make changes in these following settings. They can obviously change their login password. They can change their extension name. They can change their display language. They can change their ringtone. Right? This does not mean they are able to download ringtones and upload them into the phone. We're not there yet. All right, but they can choose from the available ringtones on the system to change on their phone, so they can, to kind of, give them a unique identifier when they hear their phone ringing and they're not at their desk. All right, they can change some call forward settings. Right? They can make button changes. All right. However, they cannot change trunk keys, loop keys, or virtual extension keys, or any of the keys in programming that start with an asterisk. All right. We don't want them to mess around with those keys because then it affects system performance. However, they can change their DSS one-touch key. They can add a headset key if they want. They can add call forward keys if they want. They could add call pickup keys, speed dial keys. They could add a live record button so that they record into their mailbox. They can add a monitor key so that they can listen as things go into their voicemail. They can add an intercom button. All right. They can change some personal email settings. They can change their email address that they want their, if they're using email integration, they can change the email address where they want that email sent. They can change their save delete options, first in, first out, last in, first out. Okay? And then they can change their auto save and delete preferences for their voicemail. So there's a lot that the end user or the extension user can do with Phone Pro. All right? And just to show you how easy it is to use, they log in, they want to change some buttons, they pick which phone that they have, either the 12 button, the 24 button, or the IP desk set. All right? And then up will come what their keys are currently set at. All right? And again, a reminder, they're unable to reprogram keys that are set as trunk keys or loop keys or virtual extension keys. All right? So then they click on which button they would click on the button, then click on the type of button they want. So in this case would be one touch, and then they would add the feature data type. So leave a one touch for extension 106, and then they could put, the name of the extension in here. So Scott at extension 106. That's primarily for the DESI-less phones. That's what would show up on the IP phones that use their LCD display as the DESI label. All right? So it's just that simple for them to change programs. So they picked button 12, set which type of button they want, and then inputted the appropriate data to make that happen. They hit OK, and they have changed their button on their phone. All right? Makes sense? So very powerful tool. Phone Pro replaces User Pro. We used to have something called User Pro, which was a little bit more cumbersome to use and a little bit more limited in scope. All right, so Phone Pro is the way to go. That is embedded in each system that is running version 1.5 software. Just you as the installer has to turn that feature on. Okay? Next feature we've added is what we call Lua PMS integration. All right? Lua is, I spent 2 years trying to track down what Lua stands for. And Lua is actually a type of software akin to like Linux and that. So Lua, the Lua PMS application allows for us to integrate with property management software for the hotel motel. Okay? In order to do that, the SL2100 must be running the SL2100 hotel motel license, and there's the part number for that. I think the cost is around $150, $125, something like that. And then you would add the Lua PMS license. So you would need to be running both licenses in order to integrate with PMS. Okay? It supports the following, the license supports the following protocols. All right? Now, I don't speak hospitality, so these are kind of foreign to me, but from what I understand, these following 4 protocols cover about 95% of the PMS software out there. So the protocols are NEC 90, NEC 60K, KTSI, and KTSI with NQ. Okay? So, the best way is if to find out if we're compatible is you need to find out what what PMS software they're running and the hotel is running, and have them get in contact with the manufacturer of the PMS software, the property management software, and find out what protocol they're on. And chances are it's going to be one of these 4. Okay? The SL2100 Lua PMS is supported via Ethernet connection only, so the system has to be running on a network. and you access the property management software via TCP port 60050. So 60,050 is the TCP port you need to run through in order to integrate with the PMS software at the location. All right? So that's the Lua PMS software, and property management software allows for the guests to check in and out of their rooms, call for housekeeping, things like that. And now most hotels, even the smaller hotels that are part of the chain, usually that chain requires the hotel to be running their PMS software. You know, so if it's a Hilton, or I'm sorry, a small Hampton Inn, they're running the Hilton PMS software. You know, if it's a Marriott property, they're running Marriott. So each individual hotel chain does have its own property management software that they make their operators use, and now you can integrate with that with the SL2100, provided that you're going on to a facility with less than 96 rooms, because the maximum number of analog extensions you can put on the system is 96. All right? So that's a Lua PMS application. The next feature is InGuard. And basically what InGuard is it helps to protect the system from toll fraud. Not only from toll fraud, but it also helps protect against phone system abuse. All right? And we'll talk about that here. What this is it's a virtual security guard. So it monitors the SMDR output of the system and compares it to some parameters that have been defined in the programming. And if those parameters have been breached, InGuard sends out an email alert to the system administrator for the system, and it notifies them of suspicious activity. And then the InGuard will take appropriate action based on a response from the email. All right? Part of that appropriate action would be moving the extension to a restricted class or blocking it from calling certain numbers. All right? So we can take a look at this in a more practical application. All right? This is an example of the monitoring. So you would set it up to warn me or send a warning out when 50 outbound calls are made from within a 60-minute period from the same extension. It's virtually impossible for the human to do more than 50 outbound calls in a 60-minute period when you take into consideration dialing, waiting for the phone to ring, disconnecting, people hanging up the phone, complaining that they can't get through to anybody, and then making their next phone call. So it's really hard for a human to make 50 outbound calls within a 60-minute period. All right? So you can set that as a parameter. All right? Then when the 50-call limit is reached, an email alert can get sent out. And then the system waits for a reply with an action, which would be move the extension to a restrictive toll basis. All right? If a reply is not received and there's a 100-call limit reached, the system will automatically block the extension from dialing out. Okay? So again, there are two stages of blocking action. Email alerts when the first threshold is reached and it warns the user of potential fraudulent activity. Then an automatic blocking action can be carried out. All right? And then an extension in a restrictive toll restriction class, or you can block a particular number from being dialed. All right, so that's where it comes in when blocking a particular number from being dialed is a way to prevent phone abuse by employees, who call the same number over and over again, calling their best friend or whatever. All right, the license sells for $200. That's your cost. All right, and it requires both the SMDR and the InGuard license. Now, the InGuard license bundles in the SMDR license. I know we sell the SMDR license separate, but when you're utilizing InGuard, when you buy the InGuard license suite, you get the SMDR license. All right, so you don't have to buy the SMDR license separately. All right. One question that I get all the time on this before I move ahead is, how difficult is this to program? All right. The actual InGuard portion is very simple to program, but it does require the system to have some toll restriction programmed in to the system. So you have to, in order to use InGuard, you have to be able to program toll restriction. All right, and toll restriction can get tricky and can get cumbersome. Because of that, we have put our product management has put together a training video that shows how to properly program toll restriction. And that came out, that video was posted not too long after version 1.5 software. After that video had been out for a while, we then posted a video, the product management posted a video, to show how to program InGuard. So there's really two steps to programming InGuard. The first is to set up your toll restriction parameters, and then the second is to set up your InGuard parameters. All right? So we have training videos on both of those subjects on the NTAC website. All right? InGuard is embedded in, so once you upgrade to version 1.5 software, it is in there. It does require the license, though, to operate. So it looks to see if the license is in. And once the InGuard license is in, you can click on Toll Fraud Guard and start setting up some of your parameters. And this is one of the programming pages that shows the areas in configuring up InGuard. And then this next page shows you some time range configurations, all right, for setting up the InGuard. So the programming is embedded into the system, but it will not be operable until the license is in the system. All right? So that's InGuard. Last feature we've added to the system is the InUC browser phone. Okay? Basically what this is a phone that resides on the desktop. So, and it needs to work in conjunction with our InUC GUI interface for desktop integration. All right, and what this does is it puts a browser phone, which is a SIP single line telephone, on the end user's computer. All right. It does, in order to work properly, though, it does require the following items. All right. It does require that the voice over IP daughter board is installed. Doesn't matter how many, how many voice over IP resources may be in use or may not be in use. You have to install the voice over IP daughter board in order to utilize the browser phone. Right, so it's a one-time $250 charge, whether it's one browser phone or if you're putting in 50 browser phones. Okay, the voice over IP daughter board needs to be in place. Same with the encryption license. We sell an encryption license to help protect the system. The encryption license needs to be on the system, and that's $100 your cost. All right, and both of these are one time, whether it's for one user or, like I said, 50 users. Then for each browser phone user, they need to be running the InUC web client license, which is $40, and then the InUC browser phone license, which is another $40. All right? Currently, we do not support any message waiting indication on the browser phone. All right? There's no stutter dial tone, there's no lamp, no nothing. So you do not get an indication of that there's messages in your voicemail box from the browser phone. We hope to have that changed by version 2.0. All right? Supported browsers and operating systems. It'll work on Windows 7, Windows 8.01, or Windows 10, both 32 and 64-bit. And then it requires Chrome version 57 or higher in terms of the browser. Okay? In terms of operating system on a Mac, it requires Mac OS XX or later. And the browser requires is Chrome version 59 or higher. So these browser phones only work with Chrome, with Google Chrome. Right? It is not supported on an Android or iOS operating system, so you cannot use the browser phone on an iPad or on a Samsung Galaxy tablet. All right? Browser phone will not work with Internet Explorer or Firefox, so it's Google Chrome is the browser of choice when doing the browser phone. All right? Make sense? Any questions on those features that we talked about? Here's what shows what happens when they go to log on. The end user goes to log on to their InUC GUI interface. They enter their username and their password, and then it asks for what type of telephony, desktop phone or browser phone. They would just choose browser phone, and then their browser phone will show up on their computer. Browser phone will support a video call. So if you're calling another browser phone on the network, you can do either a voice call or a video call. All right? So it's kind of similar to the ST500 in that regard. All right? That's your browser phone. Now, I mentioned earlier at the beginning that we have a new marketing program that you can be part of, all right? And it's from a company called Zinfi. Zinfi is a company that is very similar to other companies out there who shall remain nameless, primarily because their name escapes me at the time, currently. I used to use it all the time, for crying out loud. But this is a channel marketing program where we have designed and created the content so that all you have to do is load your email addresses, choose your campaign to send out. Oh, Constant Contact was the company to remain nameless, by the way. I used to use Constant Contact all the time. The problem with Constant Contact was that I had to create the content, and that became very time-consuming because I would create it in a Word format and then go to load it into the Constant Contact format, and nothing ever lined up. So my little 10-minute project became a 4 or 5 hour project. So that's the problem with these marketing programs. Well, we've cured that problem here by creating the content for you. All right? So we are paying the subscription for Zinfi, all right? But we are making it available for free to our customers, all right? So you can log on, you can create your own login identifier, load in your email addresses for your customers, and only you can see that. I cannot see that. Zinfi cannot see that. All right? NEC cannot see that. So we're paying the freight on this, but we're letting you guys use it for free in the hopes that this, if used properly, this can drive business. All right? So you can send out your marketing campaigns, digital marketing. You have a unique and secure account. Each one of our dealers has a unique and secure account. It's really user-friendly with easy navigation. However, it is recommended that your first time through it, you make an appointment with what they call Zinfi Concierge, and they will walk you through setting up, importing your email addresses for your customers and launching your first campaign. All right? So you would upload your list, choose which campaign you want to tune, and then send out your email blast, and then you will get telemetry back showing who opened the email, who has gone back several times to open the email and reread the content, who has forwarded the content on to other prospects or other people within their organization. You will get a few opt-outs, so there will be people who will opt out of it. But you can see your total number of emails sent and who's read it, who's passed it on, who shared the information, so on and so forth. So then you get usable information back so that you can kind of see who the hotter prospects are. And then you can target your business plan for those people. This will help you grow your opportunities and give you some measurables for your return on investment, which at this point, your investment is just time in learning the program and learning how to launch a campaign and then actually launching the campaigns. All right, here's our current campaign library. We have SL2100 Communication System Campaign that consists of 6 different emails. We also have a Toshiba Competitive Displacement Campaign, Univerge Blue. All of this stuff is for some of our other products. So your main focus would be on the SL2100 Communication System Campaign. All right. Now, even though we've created the content, you can co-brand this to make it look like yours. All right. So you can import your company logo, and then down at the bottom of each campaign, you can add your customer or your contact information. All right. So even though all of this has been created by NEC, you have the opportunity to personalize it so that your end user knows to contact you or your prospect knows to contact you and not NEC. All right? And like I said, we have 6 different email campaigns for the 2100, starting with an introduction to the 2100, streamline your communications with an all-in-one solution, stay connected from any location with unified communications, business analytics, which show our call, not a call recording, but our call usage reports. This email 4 highlights our 5-year warranty. Email 5, upgrade technology and save money. And email 6 is a closing email to take action. So you can choose one or any of these for a campaign, or you can launch a campaign, every 1 to 2 weeks or month, sending it first, starting with email 1, then starting with email 2, email 3, so on and so forth. All right? But we created the content for you, which you can co-brand by putting your company's information on there. All right? So getting started is fairly easy. You go to nec.zinfi.com and then register. All right? And then you can request additional support by clicking on the Contact Us button, and it will generate an email to their concierge, who will in turn contact you to help take you through and take you through the system and answer any questions you have. Again, this is free to you all. And remember, we, NEC, whether it's myself or anybody at NEC, does not see your information. Your portal is your portal. All right? So it does not, Zinfi does not share that information with us. So your customer information is protected. All right? And again, we set this up, and we're paying for the subscription, but we're making it free for you guys to use and utilize. So please take advantage of that. All right? Here is our account manager map that shows our different account managers and the region we take. So if you have any further questions, like I said, you'll be getting a copy of this. Reach out to the appropriate account manager. All right? So with that, that kind of wraps up what I wanted to go over. Let me make sure it looks like everybody's muted. I'll unmute. Anybody have any questions about what we talked about?
Well, Mike, I had a quick question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've got a customer. They have a repair facility, and they queried me as to whether NEC could supply headsets for mechanics that are working out in the shop area to increase their efficiency, because they're obviously busy with their hands and safety situations. And so they were wondering, I'm wondering with this new, I think it's the 500 software for the cell phones, does that apply? Would that work in this scenario, or does NEC partner with like Plantronics for some type of wireless equipment that would hook up to a headset so that
we don't? Yeah, we do not manufacture headsets. We leave that to the Plantronics of the world, and there's several other people that manufacture headsets. Here's the issue with that, and particularly in this application that you are talking about, all right? Because they, you're using basically radio frequency to connect. Yes. Right, so you can get Plantronics wireless headsets that will work with phones and whatnot. However, especially in an auto repair facility, they're using a lot of computer diagnostics. There is a chance that those computer diagnostics will interfere with the RF with the headsets.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They do a lot of them, too. Yeah, I see them there.
Yeah. Okay. So, the ST500 may be a way around that, because the ST500 doesn't use RF. It uses Wi-Fi. Okay. So there's a chance that it may not be interfered with by the computer diagnostic. But there again, you would probably be best then, if you're using a smartphone app to do that, to maybe use a wired headset tethered to the phone, because I'm not sure how Bluetooth would be. The same thing could happen with Bluetooth technology from the computer diagnostics.
Okay.
So that's the only thing that I would warn you about. But both scenarios are certainly possible. But again, those computer diagnostics in an auto repair shop are pretty powerful. So you do run the risk of interfering, of getting interference from those.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, thanks.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Questions going once? Twice? All right, with that, I thank everybody for taking the time to attend today. I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to your appropriate account manager. I will be in the next day or so. Look for an email. I'm going to try and get it out yet tonight, but look for an email from either myself or from our sales support team with a follow-up to this, with links to the recording as well as the presentation I used. All right? Thanks, everybody. Go out and have a great rest of your day. Take care.